Today we got two powerhouses in the MCU and the DCEU going head to head. Iron Man versus Shazam. Who's come out on top here? Let's find out. Tony Stark is a genius, billionaire, playboy philanthropist, former head of Stark Industries. He made his fame and fortune crafting weapons for the United States military after inheriting his father's business. He lived a playboy lifestyle until he was captured by the terrorist organization the Ten Rings. With his life on the line, he designed and built an armored suit to successfully escape. From then on, he became known as Iron Man, making him a founding member of the Avengers. In Avengers Endgame, Tony built his 85th and final Iron Man suit, the most advanced armor that he'd ever created, which was an upgrade of the Mark 50 armor from Avengers Infinity War, because the previous one had been destroyed by Thanos in the battle on Titan. It was built with the same nanite technology as the Mark 50, granting incredible strength, durability, versatility, and efficiency. However, unlike the Mark 50, which is built more external muscle design, the Mark 85 combined the typical armored concept with the idea of external muscles. The suit also formed separate sections of hardware and plates of armor on the torso, gauntlets, boots, and mask, in order to increase durability and incorporate more weaponry, while granting superhuman strength to the arms and legs that came with external muscles. The suit is strong enough to actually hold up in a struggle with Thanos for the Infinity Gauntlet. Also the most durable suit Stark had ever created, seeing as how it stood up to Thanos' attacks a whole lot better than the Mark 50, and actually remained functional until the very end. Then, like all other armors that Stark had created, it comes equipped with a powerful repulsor blast, and is capable of firing an energy blast directly from its central arc reactor. Then, being nanite technology, the Mark 85 can presumably create every weapon that the Mark 50 managed to create, and possibly even more. He's able to create energy blades to battle against Thanos, repulsor cannons to launch back Coil Obsidian, and even a lightning refocuser that took Thor's lightning and redirected and amplified it. So, let's we got one corner, one of the founding Avengers, the Godfather of the MCU, Iron Man. But, entering the ring, in the corner, well, it's the world's mightiest mortal, Shazam. Billy Batson, also known as Shazam in his champion form, is an orphan chosen by the wizard Shazam to be his champion, granting him immense power to defend the innocent from evil. In his superpowered avatar form, Billy has been granted the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury, invoked by a combination of each god's initials. He's able to leap dozens of stories in a single bound, punch through a concrete pillar, stop a bus from falling and hold it over his head, as well as battling the supervillain Dr. Sivana. He's completely bulletproof. He's taken lightning blasts from Sivana, as well as being punched through a building and knocked to the ground by the villain. Shazam is also superhumanly fast. He'll move insanely fast and even speed blitz some opponents simply by accident. He's dodged attacks from Sivana. He's actually outsped Sivana and tagged him as the two were flying towards each other. And Billy can even perceive the world in slow motion, a lot like Superman and the Flash. Shazam can also manipulate electricity and fire lightning bolts, usually shooting from his fingertips, being powerful enough to match up against other energy blasts. These lightning blasts can also impact electronics and technology, instantly charging smartphones or breaking ATMs. Finally, Shazam can also divide up his power and share it amongst several hosts, as seen when created the Shazam family. So, who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, Shazam is one of the newcomers to DCEU. It was a breath of fresh air and spark of hope before they had to go and ruin it with Birds of Prey. He's also meant to be a Kryptonian-level threat, basically a magical Superman. But if we're being honest, I don't think he's really reached his full potential just yet. So today, we're going to be easing him into the battle arena, throwing him up against the Godfather of the MCU, Tony Stark himself, good old Iron Man. So, who's coming out on top here? Well, let's break it down. Also, just a note, before we get started, Since Tony's suits from Infinity War and Endgame are so similar to one another, we'll just be using essentially a composite version of both the suits. Alright, now let's get into it. And first things first, we'll talk about strength and power. Well, in his new suit, Iron Man is a powerhouse rivaling the likes of Hulk and Thor in strength, being able to casually slam a building-sized spaceship down on top of Thanos. Although it should be noted that some parts of Titan have weaker gravity than others. He's overpowered Star-Lord's electric restraint that was powerful enough to hold back one of Thanos' arms, and even completely stop an overhead blow from Cole Obsidian with just one hand. And Cole Obsidian directly compares to the new Hulkbuster. He's blocked hits from Thanos, staggered Thanos' attacks, and actually caused the Mad Titan to bleed. And not only did he physically attack Thanos, but he actually managed to put up a fight for the Nano Gauntlet long enough to steal the Infinity Stones and transfer them over. That's like Captain Marvel or Thor type strength. Obviously not quite on par with them, but one or two steps below, that's still insanely impressive. On the other hand, Shazam has easily punched through concrete pillars before. He's destroyed a metal barrel, sent it flying to the wall with a single flick, and he stopped a falling bus cold, held over his head long enough for a dog to move out of the way. Probably his greatest strength feat was stopping a punch from Dr. Sivana cold at the palm of his hand, then overpowering the villain, whereas the Doctor had previously punched Shazam straight through a building. He's also done things like pry the Eye of Sin out from Dr. Sivana's head, or break the wizard's staff over his knee. And both of those things are magical in nature, so they might be insanely impressive. We honestly just have no clue. However, I do think it's fair to say that Iron Man is the stronger one here out of the two. Shazam was struggling to hold a bus over his head for a short period of time. That would have been something that Iron Man was struggling to do his Mark III or Mark IV suit. Forget about Mark 50 or Mark 85. Yeah, Tony's a whole lot stronger. But what about durability? Well, Iron Man has been launched thousands of feet away through a building by Cole Obsidian. Immediately started fighting again. He's withstood multiple blows and beatdowns from Thanos, including some Power Stone enhanced punches, as well as taking a direct blast from the Power Stone itself, an attack that had Thor yelling out in pain. He's even been hit with a massive meteor and was slammed to the ground, yet Tony was back up, actually joking about it just a few moments later. Then the Mark 85 actually should technically be more durable than the Mark 50, seeing as they're able to stand up to Thanos' attacks a whole lot better, remaining functional to the end, while the Mark 50 was kinda shattered beyond belief. Then, most notably, was able to contain all the Infinity Stones and allowed Tony to use them, despite the fact that there was a whole lot of energy leaking out from the stones and into the suit itself. Just to put that into perspective, when Hulk got the stones, he was severely injured, and his arm was pretty much left useless, and Hulk had a massive advantage of absorbing the gamma radiation from the gauntlet. So then what about Shazam? Well, his durability is slightly more impressive than his strength. He's just fine after being hit by an 18-wheeler and some subsequent cars. He's taken punches from Sivana that sent him flying to the ground or soaring through buildings, and he's completely and totally bulletproof, with bats and axes just shattering upon contact with his skin. In fact, according to Sivana, beings like him and Shazam can't be harmed by man-made weapons. Magic can only be beaten by magic. And that's the case, not just hyperbole, well, that spells big trouble for Iron Man. Because, yeah, he's piloting the greatest man-made weapon ever, but if it doesn't stand a chance of injuring Shazam, well, then there's no way that Tony can win here. However, I personally believe this is just hyperbole. If it wasn't, then Shazam would be so incredibly overpowered that's not even funny. Superman and the Kryptonians couldn't even injure him. And that just doesn't line up at all with the current power hierarchy that exists within the DCEU. That statement also doesn't necessarily abide by the current rules that exist within the DCEU. Look at Wonder Woman. She's a magical being, literally the daughter of Zeus himself. Yet Superman, a non-magical being, was able to hurt her. So non-magic can injure magic. On top of that, Savannah was possessed by the sins when he said that. He was literally possessed by pride. So yeah, I don't think we can say Shazam can't be hurt by non-magical means. Any more than we can take Drax seriously when he says nothing can go over his head, because he's too fast and he'd catch it. Iron Man should be able to injure Shazam no problem. That is, if Iron Man is able to catch him. Because, no question about it, Shazam is the faster one out of the two. Iron Man has been able to dodge attacks from Ebony Maw, from Coil Obsidian, even from Thanos himself, as well as fly around and weave through a meteor shower, but nothing there really puts him on the same level as Shazam. Let him move insanely fast, and even speed blitz some opponents simply by accident. He's dodged attacks from Savannah, actually outsped Savannah, and tagged him as the two are flying towards each other. And Billy can even perceive the world in slow motion, like Superman and the Flash. So Shazam is the faster one out of the two, no question about it. However, I'd still have to give the physical edge to Iron Man, just because he drastically outclasses Billy in both strength and durability. And I don't think Shazam's speed advantage is necessarily enough to overcome all that. But let's move on from physicality for a bit, talk about the other powers and abilities. And Iron Man definitely has the most versatility here. His armor is able to fire a pulsar blast. It's got its unibeams. It's able to create and fire out missiles, create very powerful blasts capable of sending Coil Obsidian flying. It's able to absorb and project Thor's lightning at Thanos. Then of his nanite manipulation, Tony's able to control and refigure the nanobots that make up his armor and form pretty much every weapon that he wants. He's able to create energy blades, form a massive cannon or to enhance his pulsar blast. He's able to repair and reform the armor that's damaged and broken throughout a fight. Shazam's versatility really comes down to his lightning. That's actually going to hurt Shazam here and help Iron Man. For all intents and purposes, from what we've seen, there's really nothing to separate Shazam's lightning from Thor's lightning. And when Thor hit Iron Man with lightning back in the first Avengers, it actually just amped him up and increased his power level to 400%. Shazam's lightning should theoretically do the same thing, seeing as we saw him charging up electronics in the movie. Then if we look at Endgame, Iron Man should be able to absorb Shazam's lightning, just turn the attack right back on Billy. Yeah, that lightning isn't going to help him out one bit. Another thing that isn't going to help Shazam out in this fight is his youth and inexperience. Shazam is a lot like Spider-Man. He's incredibly powerful, but he's just a kid. So his immaturity and inexperience actually holds him back. Doesn't let him reach his full power level, and that allows physically weaker opponents to beat him. It's just like when Tony told Peter that if Cap was really trying, he could have laid Pete out. Same thing could happen here. In fact, if anything, it's even worse for Shazam, because he was still learning about his powers and abilities throughout the movie, and he still didn't have a complete grasp on them as he fought Savannah. On the other hand, Iron Man has got plenty of skill and experience at fighting in his suit. He's able to analyze his opponent's fighting style to come up with the perfect counter to beat them. Also just insanely intelligent, always thinking things through and coming up with answers to questions while still in the middle of the fight. So, end of the day, who's coming out on top here? Well, it's gotta be Iron Man. Now, I'm pretty positive that this answer will eventually change, as Shazam gets more and more movies and slowly makes his way to his rightful spot alongside Superman. But as for right now, he's just too inexperienced and honestly doesn't even have the physicality and strength and power to match up against Iron Man. On the other hand, Tony's stronger. He's more durable. He's got much better weapons. He's actually able to turn Shazam's lightning against him. Those are just more skilled, more experienced, more intelligent. With all that on your side, it's gonna be kinda hard to lose. Iron Man is coming out on top here. Iron Man wins. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sound off in the comments down below. Also be sure that like button, subscribe button, turn notifications on the DanCo army. and I will see you next time.